Saint of the Day. September 25. Saint Ceolfrith. Abbot and Confessor, born 642 AD. Died 716. Monastery of Langres in Burgundy. Venerated in Roman Catholic Church, Orthodox Church. Feast, September 25. Saint Ceolfrith, or Geoffrey, the friend and spiritual son of Saint Benedict Biscop, January 12, was born about the year 642 and was probably a native of the Kingdom of Northumbria. He is first mentioned in 674 as aiding Benedict in the foundation of the Abbey of Wearmouth, and about the year 678, he accompanied him to Rome. A little later, about the year 681, Ceolfrith was an active, learned, and zealous man, and worthy to be the successor of Benedict. He doubled the large library which had been formed by his predecessor and increased the number of monks to 600. He also enriched the monastery, by obtaining from King Aldfrith a grant of lands on the river Fresca, which were afterwards exchanged for an estate near the monastery, at a place then called Sambuca. By some monks whom he sent to Rome, Ceolfrith obtained from Pope Sergius a new charter of privileges for the monastery, or rather a renewal of those which had been given to Benedict by Pope Agatho. Saint Ceolfrith continued to preside over the two monasteries of Wearmouth and Jarrow during 26 years, and he appears to have occupied himself exclusively with his monks in study and teaching. The celebrity of his school, in which Bede imbibed his great learning, was very extensive, and in 701, the Pope sent a messenger to invite one of his monks to advise him in deciding certain ecclesiastical questions of great difficulty. A few years afterwards, about 710, Ceolfrith's advice was sought by Nathan, king of the Picts, who had become a convert to the Orthodox Pascha and the Roman form of tonsure, and, at the earnest solicitation of that prince, he sent him a letter setting forth the arguments on which this was founded, and along with it architects to build a stone church after the West Roman style. This letter has been preserved by Bede. When age and sickness announced to Ceolfrith the near approach of death, he was suddenly seized with the desire of ending his days in the apostolic city of Rome. Bede, who was probably one of the actors in it, describes very particularly the emotional scene of parting. The monks urged Ceolfrith to stay, for they saw that he lacked the strength for so long a journey, and they feared that he would die on the way, but their efforts were in vain. On Thursday, the 4th day of June, 716, immediately after the first liturgical service of the day had been celebrated, Ceolfrith prepared for his departure, amid the lamentations of those with whom he had passed so many tranquil years. The monks, about 600 in number, were assembled in the church at Wearmouth, and Ceolfrith, after having prayed, stood by the altar, holding in his hand the censer with burning incense, and gave them his peace. Then they left the church and moved towards the shore, their chants being frequently interrupted by loud sobs. When they came to the dormitory, Ceolfrith entered the oratory of St. Lawrence, which stood there, and delivered his last admonition, urging the monks to persevere in brotherly love, to keep strict discipline, and to be constant in their duties to God, and he ended by requesting their prayers for himself. On the bank of the river Tyne, he gave them severally the kiss of peace, and they then fell on their knees and received his blessing. He was accompanied across the river by the deacons of the church, bearing lighted tapers and the cross of gold. When he reached the opposite shore, he venerated the cross and then mounted the horse which was to carry him to the place of embarkation. On their return to Wearmouth, the first care of the monks was the election of a successor, and their new abbot, named Wyatt Burt, was immediately dispatched, with a few of the brethren, to see Ceolfrith for the last time. They found him on the coast waiting for a ship. Since his departure from amongst them, he approved their choice and confirmed their election, and then received from the new abbot a commendatory letter to Pope Gregory. The apprehensions of the monks were soon verified, for after journeying slowly through Gaul, as he was approaching the city of Langres, Lingonas, in the Diocese of Lyon, on the 25th of September of the same year, Ceolfrith became suddenly so feeble that his attendants were obliged to halt in the midst of the fields, where he died almost immediately. His body was deposited in the monastery of the Twin Martyrs, in the southern suburb of the city, and his companions returned to England to bear the tidings to his friends. Bede, who gives the date of Ceolfrith's death, tells us that he was then 74 years of age and that he had been 47 years a presbyter and 35 years an abbot, including, of course, the period during which he presided only over the monastery of Jarrow. His holy relics were afterwards removed from Langraiz, and carried to Wearmouth, and at a subsequent period, on the approach of the Danes, who reduced that monastery to ruins, they were again taken up by the monks, and, with those of the Abbess Hilda, finally deposited at Glastonbury. Saint Ceolfrith is commemorated on the date of his repose, September 25. The translation of his relics is celebrated on October 8.